Hello and welcome back. Around 75% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, yet only 1 or 2% of that water is fresh and drinkable water. Human and animal waste can contaminate those waterways. Industrial and household waste also can contaminate those waterways, and we don't have very much fresh water available to us. So this is a huge problem for all of society. The most harmful water pollutants in our water include gasoline and petroleum products, chemical contaminants, particularly degreasing products, polychlorinated biphenyls. These are now banned in the United States, but many millions of pounds have already been dumped into landfills and waterways, and they can contaminate our water supply. Dioxins, commonly found in herbicides, can contaminate our waters. Pesticide and fertilizer runoff can contaminate our water, and lead from mining and other products can contaminate waterways as well. Human and animal waste are also a big concern in terms of water pollution. In terms of how we use water, the largest user of water in the house is the toilet, flushing the toilet, followed by showers, faucets, washing clothes. Leaks contribute massively to water usage, and there are other forms of water usage as well, including drinking tap water. So here in the Bay Area, what's the situation? Our tap water is directly piped from HSCI100 Reservoir, which is a reservoir located very close to Yosemite Valley. It's a pristine valley. The water is beautiful, uncontaminated, and fabulously healthy to drink. I want to bring your attention to America's obsession with bottled water, and I would like to encourage those of you who live in the Bay Area to consider not using bottled water and instead drinking our delicious, extremely clean and healthy Bay Area tap water. Let's take a look at this short video on bottled water use in America and its problems.
But is that filtered water really better for us, and what does it mean to us in our world? Peter Glick, who's been called an environmental visionary, has the answer to that question in his new book. It's called Bottled and Sold, the story behind our obsession with bottled water. And Peter Glick joins us now. And these numbers really are amazing. You know, basically 30 years ago, Americans drank a gallon and a half of bottled water every year. Now it's up to about 30 gallons a year. How did it happen?
It's hard to believe that we've moved from a wonderful tap water system to a system where we buy and drink most of our water now in little plastic bottles. And it happened partly because we're afraid of our tap water, partly because of great marketing and advertising on the part of the bottled water industry. Sometimes people don't like the taste of their tap water. All of those things have led to this explosion in bottled water.
Let's pick it apart a little bit. I think about the bottled water, smart water, vitamin water. It's all designed to make us think this is a lot better for us than we thought.
That's the advertising piece of this. It's that buy our product many times more expensive than tap water, and it'll make you healthier or sexier or more stylish. It's a marketing push to get us to buy a product that's available incredibly cheaply and inexpensively from our taps.
Yet there can be some problems with tap water. We had this incident a couple weeks ago in Queens. A whole school got sick from their water fountains.
There are problems with our tap water. We have a wonderful tap water system in this country, but it's not as good as it could be. It's not as good as it should be. And part of the solution to getting people off bottled water is to restore some faith in our tap water by expanding and improving the system we have.
As you might imagine, the International Bottled Water Association takes issue with some of your contentions. Here's what a statement they gave us. Bottled water is a safe, healthy, and convenient way for people to stay hydrated. Bottled water comes in many different price points, and there's a bottled water product to meet every lifestyle.
Well, that's certainly true, although meet any lifestyle. I don't need to drink water for my lifestyle. But the argument that the industry makes is, oh, it's better to drink bottled water than to drink soda. And that's a great argument. But it's even more appropriate to drink tap water. It's much cheaper. It's often as safe or safer than bottled water, and it doesn't contribute to a plastic waste disposal problem. I think we need to figure out how to return to the tap.
But somehow there's a little chip in our brain that does say, man, boy, this bottled water really does taste a lot better. You have a great bit in your book where you talk about the Penn and Teller sketch where they serve some fancy bottled water, someone thinks, turns out to be from a garden hose. How would you compare it to tap water?
Oh yeah, definitely better than tap water. It doesn't have an aftertaste to it. It's got a flavor that it almost feels like a beverage other than water, but without sugar or any additives.
So we're deluding ourselves, you're saying?
When we do these blind taste tests, often people can't tell the difference between tap water and bottled water. They can't tell the difference between inexpensive bottled water and very expensive bottled water. The answer is not to go to the bottle.
And of course, it would be a lot less expensive, a lot better for the environment.
It takes a tremendous amount of energy to make the plastic in these bottles, and then most of those plastic bottles end up in landfills. They're never recycled.
You call what the bottled water industry has done is a war on tap water. How do we end it?
Well, part of the challenge is to get people to drink bottled water, you have to demonize your competing product, which is tap water. The way to end it is to make sure that our tap water is good, to build and expand a high-quality tap water system that made this country great. And at the same time, if we're going to drink bottled water, let's make sure all of those bottles are recycled. Let's make sure we're not buying bottled water that comes thousands of miles across the ocean. So fix our tap water system and reduce our demand for bottled water. Carry around a refillable bottle.
Okay, Peter Glick, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yes, I would urge you to carry around a refillable bottle and take advantage of the water fountains and water stations that you can find around the college. Let's take a look at land pollution. Solid waste, around 4.5 pounds of municipal solid waste per person per day accumulates in the United States. 90% of our trash is recyclable, but in fact only around 1/3 of our waste is recycled. In the Bay Area, there are in fact many hazardous waste sites. The Superfund law of 1980 does provide money for the cleanup of these hazardous chemical waste sites, but you can see those hazardous waste sites illustrated on this map, and you can see how many of those are clustered around the San Jose and South Bay region. So land pollution is a big problem in the Bay Area. What's in our trash? Our trash is made up of paper products, waste food, some yard trimmings, and then plastics, huge problem. Rubber and synthetic tile products, metals, wood products, glass products, and other products. These are the main forms of waste in society. Land pollution, the number of landfills has decreased in the past decade. However, the amount of volume, the mass that those few landfills are dealing with has increased. As a result, communities are running out of disposal space. And it is becoming more and more common to take our garbage to other locations. And sometimes those locations are polluting the environment, polluting waterways, polluting the sea, and contaminating ecosystems. So some of the solutions for land pollution are strategies to control waste, reduction, try to reduce the amount of waste that we are producing. Recycling the materials that we are using, composting, and sometimes combustion with energy recovery and scrubbing greenhouse gases from that combustion. So generating energy in as clean a way as possible. So reuse, reduce, and recycle. Looking at what does get recycled, you see lead acid batteries are largely recycled. Corrugated boxes are largely recycled, and steel cans are recycled. Not all of our yard trimmings are recycled. Aluminium beer cans and soda cans are only half being recycled. Newspapers and other forms of paper, not very well recycled. Tires, big problem. Consumer electronics, recycling those is very, very problematic. Glass containers, and then plastic containers. These are terrible sources of pollution, and they are not effectively being recycled. So we need to take a mindful approach to protecting our environment for future generations. We need to think of specific ways that we can reduce our consumption of water, reduce our consumption of electricity, and reduce the amount of waste that we produce.